Studer and Revox, two brands made in Switzerland, conquer the world. Mixing consoles and tape recorders from Regensdorf near Zurich are among the best in the world market. Their sophisticated features had a huge impact on audio technology. The man behind the Studer Revox company was audio pioneer Willy Studer. I don't know if there's any power.
Welcome to the Studer Museum in Regensdorf near Zurich here in Switzerland. Here, more than 60 years ago, Willy Studer started to write history in the audio industry. I would like to invite you now to share with me some of the highlights in this exhibition. This is the first machine which came out of the company Willy Studer founded in 1948. It was the Dynavox. The Dynavox was a consumer product which was recruited from an American product, which was the sound mirror designed in the United States. And Willy Studer adapted this product to make it compatible with European needs.
These tape recorders were absolutely unsellable. They only screeched. I fixed the mechanics so that they could be sold. This was my entry point into tape recorders. I was fascinated by the technology.
We are seeing the first professional tape machine designed by Willy Studer. It was the A27, and it was brought to market in 1951. It consisted at the time of a tape deck, which was placed in a separate box, a power supply unit, and also the electronics were packaged in a separate cabinet. And at that time, this was a mono machine. That means one track on a quarter-inch tape. And this machine was already quite famous in the marketplace because of its robust construction.
The prototype of this recorder was used in 1951 at the Lucerne Festival. We only had a single machine at that time. Maximum recording capacity per reel was 30 minutes, but several musical movements lasted 40 minutes and more. To cope with this, we had to wind additional tape beyond the reel flange, praying that no tape jam would happen. 10 years after founding his company, Willy Studer, on the left in this picture, employed more than 100 staff. Swiss Radio ordered 100 units of the A27 at once. This was the commercial breakthrough.
A next milestone happened in 1954 with the introduction of the B37 tape machine. Notable here is that this machine was already constructed in a very modular way. And of course that became one of the important ingredients of Studer engineered tape machines, and that is serviceability, which really made the Studer brand, as we see later on, famous in the world. Now here you see the C37 tape machine, which really made Willy Studer famous in the world making tape machines. It was the workhorse at the time, and it was built in a very solid and modular fashion, and was available since about 1961 in different tape machines ranging all the way from quarter-inch tape up to one-inch tape. It was used in broadcast, it was used in movies, it was used also in the recording studios. Some of these machines are, to this very day, still in operation. Now here you see the one-inch 4-track version of the 37 series of Studer tape machines, the J37. The J37 was a very, very famous machine. It was used in many of the recording studios around the globe. Among the users were Abbey Road Studios in London, and many of the Beatles recordings were recorded on J37s.
This is one of the J37s, of which we had 8 here at Abbey Road, and this one is now nearly 30 years old, and as you will see from this,
it still works?
It still works. Look, Well, the Studer machine was undoubtedly the best machine of its type in the world. We'd used Telefunken in the late 50s, early 60s. But when Willie Studer brought out this J37, it had some great technical advantages. This became the workhorse of the recordings here in Abbey Road during the whole of the 60s, when we had an incredible success rate we had something like 66 hits, I think, #1 hits out of Studio 2 alone during that period.
Willie Studer built his first premises in Regensdorf near Zurich. In less than 10 years, the number of staff quadrupled, and he expanded with subsidiary companies in Switzerland and Germany. The product range increased, while the high-quality standard remained. Studer Revox stood out from the bulk products of its competitors. More and more of the components were produced in-house, as opposed to purchasing them from external manufacturers. Studer's challenge was not how to sell what he had manufactured, but rather how he could produce as much as he would sell.
In the mid-60s, a new era for Studer began. Up to now, all tape machines were fitted with electronic vacuum tubes. And now, the first machine was introduced with semiconductors, the A62. In 1970, there was a large breakthrough in tape machine design. Willie Studer launched the A80 series of tape machines, which became a revolutionary product in the world markets. It was a truly modular product, and tape formats from cassette tape all the way to 2-inch tape were covered with this revolutionary product. It was sold in its lifespan more than 10,000 times to the most prestigious organizations around the globe, be it in broadcast, be it in film, be it in television, or be it in recording studios. Another major milestone happened in 1978 with the introduction of the Studer A800 tape machine. It was the first machine in the industry which had microprocessor control, and it was also the first tape machine in the industry with phase-compensated equalizers. The machine also had very high dynamics and was very popular in recording studios because of its speed of operation and because of the phase compensation, our equalizer circuitry, because of its sound. This is the A80 24-track 2-inch tape machine, introduced in 1973. And there's hardly any recording studio in the world who did not operate one of these machines. In fact, some of these machines are still in operation to this very day in many of these studios. Another very important milestone was reached in 1983 with the introduction of the A810 tape machine, where microprocessor control was extended to control of the record and playback electronics. And this actually led then to a complete new generation of several new tape machines, including the A12, our top-of-the-line A820, which basically also replaced the A80 and the A800, and the 807 tape machine. The last great analog multitrack machine introduced to the market was the A827, and it was introduced in the late 80s. It had a tremendous success around the globe. The last A827s which were brought to market were delivered in the late 90s. And in honor of Dr. Willie Studer, it was called the Studer A27 Gold Edition, and it had a signature on it from Willie Studer. In the early 90s, Studer engaged in the development of digital tape machines, and a 2-channel dash machine was brought to market, and later on also a 24-track and a 48-track digital 16-bit dash machine.
In 1950, the Revox T26 tape recorder had laid the base for a fascinating company history. For 40 years, the Studer and Revox names influenced analog and digital tape recording like no other company. Their equipment was leading the world market and even had a high impact on music history thanks to multi-track recording. Countless developments, from the vacuum tube to microprocessor technology, from the precise mechanics to the classy design, brought worldwide glory. The launch of the A827 Willi Studer Gold Edition in 1990 crowned the audio pioneer's life's work.